Hey, does your ankle pinches when you're barbell squatting? Or say you're trying to increase your squat depth and you're going through some ankle mobility drills and you find this front of your ankle pinching when you're trying to move your knee forward? Or maybe just going for a run or prior to your run, you find that your ankle pinches when you're doing calf stretches. Now if that's the case, I've got the solution. Let's back it up a little. Now, before we go to the solutions, we probably need to understand the anatomy or mechanics of the foot as it goes through normal walking gait before we can appreciate the solutions. Okay, so now, I have a foot model here in my hand. When we are going through the normal walking gait, the first stage is the heel strike. So we land on the ground using the lateral side of our heel, also on the outside of our heel. Once it lands, it has to roll forward. Now, we go through this thing called the mid stance, okay? This mid stance is important. Our tibia, the shin bone, rotates internally and the arch flattens onto the ground, okay? Like so. So, when we enter the last stage, which is the toe off stage, the foot has to resupinate, the arch reforms, and then it becomes this very rigid foot as we toe off and push into the ground to get our next step forward, okay? So now what commonly happens in a pinching ankle is this, where the foot is actually stuck in a toe off or late stance. We call it late stance foot. So look at this space in between the ankle bones. Now in this late stance, right? Look at the space between the ankle bones. This is so little. Now imagine this when you're doing your ankle mobility drills or you're going through a squatting motion. There isn't any space anymore. So what happens is that it's bone on bone, which is why you feel the ankle pinching sensation. So if you go try to get more reps of your ankle mobility, you're just going to grind bone against bone. Well, I won't say that it's going to be very damaging, but you're probably not going to get any gains from your ankle mobility drill. Alright, so now let's go to our solutions. Step 1 of our solution. I like to place clients in a heel elevated goblet squat position. Now, as the name suggests, we're going to elevate the heel. Now what does the heel elevation do? Now at first we have an ankle that's pinching. Now once we elevate the heel, it opens up the space by changing the shin angle. So look at the space in between the ankle bones. Now we have this ankle bone space. So then this is the first position that we want to achieve. This drives some changes up the pelvis, but we won't go into detail for that. That's another video for another time. So, as we are going through this goblet squat, place heavy emphasis on heel pressure. We really need to sense our heel. As weird as it sounds, we need this heel sensing, okay? So, when we are on an elevation, place heavy emphasis on the heel pressure as we go down through that goblet squat position. Now, one mistake that I always see is that when I get heel clients to do like a heel heavy goblet squat, the toe wants to come off as well. No, you need to find that balance where you're still keeping the foot entirely on the surface that you're stepping on, right? The heel elevation and also on the ground as we sink down into our goblet squat with control. Next thing that I want to emphasize is that tucking of the pelvis, a posterior tuck to make sure the ribcage is stacked over pelvis. Okay, and then we're going to maintain that throughout that goblet squat. So that drives some changes up in the pelvis as well, but we won't go into detail for that. That's another video for another time. Alright, let's go to step 2. This step 2 involves this foot pronation drill. Okay, this is often lost in many people. Okay, so what I want you to do is go onto the ground, make sure you are doing this ankle dorsiflexion or trying to almost like stretch out your calf kind of action. Keep the weight on the heel. Don't let the heel lift off the ground, okay? And then as you do that, you want to feel the arch dropping onto the ground. Now that does not mean that you, from the front, you drive your shin towards the inside part of your foot. Don't do that. Make sure use your knee as a guide. Make sure the knee is going forward in line with your foot. I would say go towards the second and third toe. Now if you do this right, this will set you up for our third part of our solution. Okay, so let's go through again. As you go through this pronation drill, stay heavy on the heel throughout, even as your shin and your knee go forward. If you can get your knee beyond your toes, go ahead, but make sure that you are keeping heel heavy. Alright, let's get to third step. Cool, now we're at the third step. Okay, this third step is actually the last step. So we're going to put you in a front foot elevated split squat position. Okay, now the second drill was focusing on driving pronation of the foot. So once we have our foot elevated on the surface, we automatically will place more weight on the heel of the front foot. Okay, so same thing, you want to go down into this split squat, driving your knee towards that second and third toe, but now it's going to be dynamic and you're going to put on more body weight. This will teach your body how to operate and learn how to pronate the foot. We have good mechanics in the foot to actually go through the motion. Don't let your heels lift off the weight plate or whatever surface that you're using to elevate the foot. Alright, so that's our final part of our solution. I hope that helps. Now, if you found this video helpful, please like and share with your friends. Now, give the video a thumbs up and also help to subscribe to this channel, and I'll keep pushing out content like that so that you guys will know what to do when you meet problems along the way during your lifting journey. Alright, this is Gary and I'm signing out. See you next time.